each of us have scoured the cosmos, and we've decided that we want to come to Earth now during this exciting time of transformation. There's a whole wave of us coming right around now to blanket the Earth with a fresh new consciousness. And we are picking you specifically because you disagree with the old paradigm of parenting.
I recently booked an appointment with Jamie of Refractive Healing. During my appointment, she worked on my energy to relieve the pain of a sore throat. Afterwards, she used her intuitive gifts to give me specific guidance. I followed her advice and found that my ability to channel and receive guidance from my guides on the other side was greatly enhanced. I am still benefiting from Jamie's beautiful gifts, and I would like to share this with you. Book your free distant healing session today at refractivehealing.com. Thank you to Refractive Healing for partnering with me in this video. Thank you so much for joining me, Dr. Edith.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for everything that you do and all the beautiful guests that you have on, the powerful stories that are shared. I feel like these stories, they're really like a medicinal balm that many of us need.
Thank you so much for those kind words, and thank you for being willing to share your story. So I'd love to start out by hearing about your son's pre-birth memories, anything that you'd like to share about those.
Well, it might be helpful to set some background because my husband and I, we were actually not really planning to have children. But in 2013, I went to this darkness meditation retreat where I stayed in a dark building, meditating in complete darkness. And it was 11 days with 9 days and 9 nights in complete darkness. Fasting, meditating, mostly completely quiet, a little bit of talking. And it was such a beautiful and profound experience. And I integrated many different memories of my past, future, parallel realities. And when I came out of that experience, life looked different, multidimensional. The colors change. And I became what people might call hypersensitive. But I think just normal. I think that most people out there in our world, I think your audience can probably relate to this, are just not sensitive to all the dimensions of energies at play. And so when I came back to San Francisco, to the city, as a Chinese medicine practitioner, it was very useful during the day to have that sensitivity and sensibility to see deeper energy patterns at play. And the intuition has skyrocketed so I could zero right into how to be more helpful with my Chinese medicine patients and clients. But at night, I didn't have the skillfulness to turn it off. So I could hear, feel, know all of my neighbors' thoughts and emotions all the time. And it was painful, actually. It's like some people say, oh, I love to just become super psychic and know everything. It's like, no, be careful what you use, what you wish for. It's not always pleasant, you know? So this is the backstory why I dragged my husband to move an hour plus outside the city to a little town called Sebastopol, where it's just like we had this tiny little cottage with 1 acre of land and fruit trees, and there was no 5G towers, and we turned off the Wi-Fi signals and couldn't pick up any other neighbors' signals, and the energy was just very peaceful and quiet. And that's what my system, in that space, I realized, wow, I'm such a different person, having grown up in cities all my life. I grew up in Hong Kong, lived in Boston, lived in Washington, D.C., lived in San Francisco, always in cities. I discovered who I really was when I could fully open my energy field to immerse in the frequencies of nature. And during the day, I would feel so much energy that I'd never felt before, just like bright and shiny and inspired to do some gardening, to write my book that I'd been trying to write for a long time. That inspiration came through. And at night, I had the deepest dream life. And when I meditated, it used to take, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour to breathe and still and calm my mind. I could click into a clear, aligned, and visionary state so easily simply because I had optimized my environment that was harmonious and nature-filled. And in this state, this baby kept visiting. And at first it was like, no, we're not ready to have children. And so this baby started visiting day after day, week after week, month after month. And we got to be basically cosmic buddies. I would look forward to going to sleep at night, knowing that we would just go fly around the cosmos or have these little fun dreamscapes and have these play dates. And I kept telling my husband, I was like, the baby is here again. And he's like, well, I'm ready. Well, I'm ready. And in hindsight, Melissa, I don't know if you agree, like I perceive you as a conscious, awake, aware kind of parent, right? There's not that many examples of that in our world. So I was just like, I had kind of confused what I saw out there to being like, I think parenthood is just not for me. You know, now that my kid is almost 9 years old, I realize that I love being a mom. I love it so much. But back then, I was like, I saw either the super disciplinarian, you know, like authoritarian, sit down, shut up, you're grounded, you got to do this, you know, crack the whip, like ordering your child around. And that just never felt right to my heart. The flip side is the super overly permissive kind, where the kids have no structure and they're like, you know, I want kids to be wild and free, but sometimes the kids seem like they're stressed out by not having any kind of structure or boundary. So I never saw really good examples of very collaborative, respectful, honoring examples of parenthood. And so in hindsight, I realized that that's what I just thought like parenthood wasn't for me, you know, because with friends, it's always like, hey, do you want to go out to dinner? What would you like to eat? Let's find a restaurant that works for everybody. That's how we do everything. But I saw how parenthood and children were like talked down to so often, and something just didn't feel right. So I assumed that parenthood wasn't for me. But then this child kept coming over and over and over again. I was like, I don't think I'm made out to do this. So then one night, I was basically in this half wake, half dream state. And this boy comes in again. And he shows this beautiful scene of himself and all these other orbs of light. And they're all connected like an ocean, a webwork of light. So bright and luminous and just beautiful. But it wasn't just the beauty of it. I was having like a whole system experience of vibrational frequency massage where every cell of my being was vibrating at a level that almost felt like beyond the physical realm. And I felt my system getting this beautiful healing and upgrade as he was visiting. And he said, look at all of these orbs of light. Each of us have scoured the cosmos, and we've decided that we want to come to Earth now during this exciting time of transformation. So this is in 2013. He says, there's a whole wave of us coming right around now to blanket the Earth with a fresh new consciousness. And we are picking you specifically because you disagree with the old paradigm of parenting. You're right. Everything that you see that you disagree with is true. You are totally right. But just so you know that all those old ideas about parenthood and education, you know, with school, it's like sit at a little desk and do boring little workbooks. Like I couldn't wait to get out of that system and go do real things with my life, right? So the idea of, you know, all those years of cracking the whip and making sure your kids do their workbooks and get good grades in school, that just didn't appeal to me either. So he was like, all of that is obsolete. it doesn't apply to us. And so he's showing me the scene of all these spirit babies. He says, we're going to come here and show you a new way of being human. Everything that you disagree with about the old paradigm is true, but we cannot tell you about the new one. We need bodies to show you the new way. So time has come. I have scoured the cosmos and you are it. You're going to be my parents, but of course you have free will to choose. It's a free will universe, but just so you know, this web work that I'm showing you, each and every one of us scoured the cosmos, decided to come at precisely coordinated times to this realm, and we have decided precisely coordinated times which geographic location, which culture, which family, which timing, the order of all of our arrivals is so beautifully orchestrated. There's no possibility that I could explain to you in a way that you can really understand from while you're in the physical realm. But please take my word for it, that it is all elegantly designed, the precise arrival and timing of every one of us. There is interdependencies between all of our incarnations so that we can specifically blanket the earth with this geometry of beauty, of light, of luminosity. So if you choose not to conceive me, you do, of course, have that free will to choose. And then he went and he disappeared the whole scene. We'll just have to go back to the drawing board and figure out a new permutation that works for everybody. So no pressure of anything. And so I shared all of this with my husband and he was like, oh, wow. He was blown away by it. And so he was very hesitant. At that point, I had had so many cosmic play dates with my boy that I felt like he was my buddy already. But after that visit, my husband went to yoga class. He's an athlete and he likes to do yoga to just stretch out and, help his sports. And while he was in yoga class, laying there in Shavasana, our boy visited him. And then we compared notes and he was like, this boy's pretty cute. I'll consider it. And so there was a certain moment, a certain day where we could just feel his presence. And we, all three of us, it was understood that, oh yeah, this is the time of his conception. And so we had this beautiful experience of this conscious conception where we knew that he was present and there was a beautiful merging of energies. And the moment that he was conceived, I felt this breathing cycle kickstart in my womb space. And it was like lungs. And there was no need to take a pregnancy test. And the whole time, because I had such a deep, rich friendship with him, I just kept that friendship going. And it was a very contiguous, smooth transition into this pregnancy where I'd never been pregnant before, but I felt totally confident. Like he knew what he was doing and we could collaborate and figure out what would you like to eat? How would you like me to adapt my lifestyle, my nutrition? So it's harmonious with your path and the creation of your life. And which midwife should we choose? We ended up having these beautiful midwives and a wonderful water birth at home. And it was a very gentle, smooth transition into this realm. And then when he was almost 4, I believe. I forget exactly when. It was around 4. We were reading some book about space. And he started saying, Mama, space doesn't really look like this. Space is teeming with millions and millions and millions and millions of space babies. It's packed with space babies and they're bright and shiny. Like they have a rainbow glow. And so he started telling me and he said, yeah, when I was in space, and so that began almost every night, or he would say, when I was in space and I was looking down on planet Earth and I looked on these screens and I remember looking at this screen and this one family was like too strict and this other family was not strict enough, and you were just right in between. And I remember seeing you, and I saw the bright shining light, and I thought, that one's going to be my mama. And so he said that he looked at one screen after another screen. He was like, you were the last screen that I looked at. And I knew this was the one. And so that's when I jumped into your dreams. So the other space babies also try to jump into their mamas and papas' dreams, but a lot of times their mamas and papas can't hear them. They have to keep trying. But I was lucky. The first time I jumped into your dream, you could hear me, and we started playing in your dream time. So he started telling me all of this. And so I was like, you're right. And then I start telling him my version of the experience, matching up with his version. And there are so many things, so many little details, because, when kids are 4, 5, 6, they just tell you little fragments, and then they're like, I'm hungry. Can I eat an apple? They just jump topics. Like, they say these amazing, mind-blowing, cosmical wisdom things. And then suddenly they're like, I want to watch a cartoon, Like, they jump back and forth, because to them it's no different. It's just a reporting of facts, right? For me, it's like, oh my God, this is so precious. Tell me more. And he's like, just, no, I'm ready to go ride my bike now, So there were many, many beautiful things. But one of the really beautiful things that I find so helpful is he was like, when you're a space baby, you just remember yourself as happy and peaceful and love all the time. But when you're here on planet Earth, you feel sad, you feel cranky, you feel lonely, you feel, all these sad feelings and upset feelings. We don't know anything about that when we're space babies. It's like, but didn't you see on the screens? He was like, yeah, I remember seeing on the screens you got cranky because Baba wasn't cleaning the house, and you were cranky at Baba and yelling at him about cleaning the house. And I remember seeing that. I was like, that's really funny. That looks like fun. Maybe I could try it sometime, So he says, so we come to planet Earth to see what that's like, because we don't know what it's like to be sad. We definitely don't know what it's like to be lonely. We have no idea what it's like to be lonely when we're in space. So that's really a special experience that we get when we're here. And so as I listen, like, he's talking about this experience of separation that they have no concept of until we jump into these bodies and imagine ourselves as separate beings. So many profound things like that he shares. But he says, Mama, this is why it's so important to sleep. Many people think that you sleep just because you need to heal and rest your body, but that's only a small part of it. When you're awake, this is before he's pretty good at math now, but before he was so good at math, he would make up percentages. But the idea was that when you're awake, it's something like you're 30% in space and 70% on planet Earth and in your body. When you're asleep, it's the opposite. Most of you go back to space, and a small part of you stays in your body. And then when you die, all of you goes back. He started saying, depending on your age, the proportion changes too, which is interesting. But he says, the thing is, there are some people on planet Earth, they're kind of sicky, and they don't have good enough healthy energy so that when they sleep, they go back to space. And those people, they say they don't sleep very well, is because they don't have good healthy energy, because it takes energy for you to fall asleep and jump back up into space. And when you go back to space, you remember yourself as peaceful and happy and love all the time. And then you wake up in the morning, you remember who you really are, and then you're more peaceful and happy, more love while you're awake. But if you don't remember that, you'll be more cranky, more angry, more upset, more lonely. And so that's why people get cranky if they don't get really good sleep. So that's the real reason that is very important, so that you remember yourself as a space baby. So these are the kinds of things that he would tell me when he was like 5 years old.
Wow, that's incredible. It's really amazing to me that you and he both had the same memories of playing with each other during your dreams. So that's confirmation for you when he started telling you the same things after he was born.
Yeah. And he shared interesting things that he said, Mama, I know that you've been to planet Earth before, but this is my first time. He said, before I was a space baby, I was a star. But you have been to planet Earth, you've been to other planets, but this is my first time having a body.
Amazing.
He said, I came out of this special recycling machine where they take dead people and dead stars and recycle them and turn them into fresh, new, bright, shiny space babies. And he has a baby sister now. So when he was about 3.5, almost 4, he started saying, I have a sister, I have a sister. She needs to come now. And so that's how we tuned in and conceived our second child, also the same kind of tuning in for that moment of conception. So that was also a really profound, powerful experience. And she carries a different set of codes than he does. This is my experience. So the pregnancy with her and the birthing experience of her dramatically upgraded my system. And really, it was a potent medicine that reattuned my entire being going through that pregnancy and that birth with our second child. But he said that we both came from a dead star that went into this recycling machine that pops out new space babies. And when we come out, there are these caretakers. And they're kind of like greenish looking beings that help us to decide where we want to go and where we want to incarnate, and help us to choose our perfect parents, and then help us to jump into your dreams and convince you to have us in your family. And he says, on planet Earth, so many people get confused about how babies are made. People think that you bump your peepees together and make a baby. No, that's not how it works. First, you have to have a space baby choose you. And then it makes the mama and papa want to make a baby. And then that's how you make a baby. If there's no space baby first, there's no Earth babies. It has to be all three of you together. So again, when he was like 4 or 5, he started saying, planet Earth, a lot of people are very confused about a lot of things. They don't really know how babies are made. You say stuff like that. Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny. So you mentioned that you saw all the orbs and he was one of them. And he told you that there's a bunch of them who had planned to come in a very coordinated time. And my children were also born at the same time, so it definitely made me a little bit emotional hearing that. But why do you think they're all coming now? Is there a specific reason?
I should ask him. When I asked him his specific reason for coming, it was just, he said, I saw you on the screen and I loved you and I wanted to be close to you. That's,
oh, wow.
And it's just seemed like fun to come to planet Earth to try it out, see how it goes. Yeah. So he doesn't really say that there's some grandiose mission. But what I received pre-conception was this geometry pattern of beautiful, luminous webwork of information that they're carrying new codes into the field of humanity. That's what I saw. And it was just this blanketing of the earth. And maybe on a higher plane, we have a collective agreement that we've outgrown all these lessons of separation. And I know I feel kind of done with all the drama, all the war, all the sickness, all the unkindness. I'm pretty burnt out from it. I don't know. Are you?
Yeah. I think a lot of people feel that way. Yeah.
Yeah, we can do so much better. I think that we experience separation to learn what we need to learn. And when you feel like you've outgrown those, we create a new reality that is more congruent with what we want to expand into. And I think consciousness is expanding, and the old paradigms, so many old systems, education, we were talking about off camera, medical system, financial system, agriculture, governance, like everything looks chaotic because underneath it is a far more beautiful reality that is cracking open. So that's one of the things that I'm grateful to be an energetically sensitive person, because it's not that I never get stressed out about the world being so chaotic and so much change out there, but I can also simultaneously see that there's this beautiful pattern that is arising, and the old kind of house of cards was built on not very solid foundations of deeper wisdom-filled eternal truths. So it has to crumble. It just, the consciousness it was built on was too weak. It can't last.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Well, thank you so much for sharing about your son's memories. Would you like to switch gears now and share about your own experience?
Okay. Yeah, our mutual friend and colleague, Jeff Mara, called it a near-death-like experience. And he was the first person that said that, and it's true. Because after I had that experience, I was like, is anybody else out there having experiences like this? I don't know, when you had your experience, was like, who else am I the only one? Did I go crazy? What was that, right? And so it was like such solace, such medicine to my soul when I saw people's NDE reports. I was like, that's very close to what I experienced. So, okay, like I'm not the only one. And of course, now I realize that we didn't go crazy, far from it. We became more sane because we went to our true reality. And we came to realize that this place here is a superficial, dream built on that, so that maybe we can learn and grow from this experience until, like right now, humankind is outgrowing old systems and we're building a new reality so we can experience a new set of expansion and growth and learnings and so on. So the story is, in 2003, I was in Chinese medicine school. And I had recently quit what the world would say a pretty successful budding software career in tech, and kind of cold turkey decided to pursue my childhood dream. Because when I was 4, I saw a Qigong master heal my dad's back pain, my sister's ankle sprain, just in one session. Boom. The pain was gone. The swelling was down. And it was always in the back of my head, like, that's what I want to do when I grew up. But all the adults are like, that's crazy. Why would you want to become some shaman healer in the back alleyway? Why don't you go to school, get good grades, get an engineering degree, and go get a good job? And so, I ended up getting a math degree and going to a software company, and I was deeply unhappy. So I quit cold turkey, go to Chinese medicine school against the wishes of every single family member. That was a whole story in and of itself when you listen to your heart and completely change your life path against the advice of every single person in your family. So here I am, a starving grad student living in San Francisco, pinching pennies, going month to month, sometimes week to week, barely had enough pennies to eat rice and beans. But I was so happy going to Chinese medicine school because it was a study of it recalibrated my relationship with the cosmos, with our physical health and well-being, but how it relates to nature's energies and cosmic intelligence. And Chinese medicine has a very vast worldview about humanity's relationship with the cosmos. This idea that every human being is the bridge between heaven and earth, that every human being is here to bring heaven onto earth in our own beautiful, unique way of doing that. So there was just a part of me that resonated so deeply. And my favorite subject in Chinese medicine school was always the Qigong practice. So in Chinese medicine school, you study acupuncture, you study herbology, you study the theory and principles of Chinese medicine. You study how to diagnose people through tongue, through pulse, through taking a more holistic history, weaving together body, mind, emotion, soul factors. And you cultivate an energy awareness in the acupuncture techniques class and in the manual therapy techniques class. And then it was required to take Qigong and Tai Chi. And for the audience members, maybe some people have heard of Qigong, but Qigong is the meditation tradition in the Chinese medicine tradition. And it's got a vast history. Some people say about 6,000 years of different schools of thought about how to meditate by combining a conscious intention, a breathing practice, and a very specific way in which you hold your body posture or move your body or hold different mudras so that the energy circuitry can be invited to flow in a certain way, combined with your breathing, combined with your conscious intention. So technically you could do Qigong dishwashing, Qigong laundry folding, or you're conscious and aware of your posture, your breathing, and you're very mindful and aware of your intention. Right. So it is said in Qigong, wherever your mind goes, the Qi follows. So this is just life. Life is Qigong because everything is energy and everything is consciousness and intention guides the flow of energy. So I love that I was in my 20s and I got exposed to these principles, which has not just assisted me in becoming a professional healing practitioner, but in life, this is just life, becoming aware of the energetic matrix that underlies this physical reality. I feel now that I'm a parent and writing my second book about education, this really should be everybody's education about energy awareness. Anyway, in 2003, I'm taking these Qigong classes, and it's always a win because it's always when you sit still, come to your center, take deep breaths. How can it not be a win? It's always awesome. So it was my favorite class. But there was this one particular class, actually the teacher that taught Qigong in our school, she was so great and she taught some advanced classes beyond what was the requirement for the school curriculum. So I took some classes with her beyond school, more advanced practices. And it was in one of these classes where I was breathing and following a guided meditative practice. And I got more and more still. I dropped deeper and deeper and deeper. And then suddenly everything exploded and I experienced myself the size of all of creation. And I had no reference point for anything like it before. I'd never read a book about anything like this. I didn't, what is going on here? Except that I knew I was home, that I was back to our natural state. It was so almost unbearably blissful, but simultaneously so comfortable at the same time. And it was so strange, but so familiar at the same time. Like I knew that I am home. This is our natural state. And this is the piece that may be quite similar to your experience, Melissa. It was like every question that I could think of answered, every answer. Like it was somebody asked me, I was like, that must be so boring. And it was kind of the opposite of boring because there was would be the simultaneous arising of an inquiry was met with a multidimensional webwork of answers.
Yes.
Like the ripple of all the answers, like, wow. It's like delight and the bliss, the joy. And I struggle just like you do to find the words because all the words, I think we can find words that are closer to what the experience was, but no words actually seem like an accurate description. The closest word lately I've been using is just a contentment, like an unimaginable contentment, because I felt whole and fully at home and fully at ease and fully at peace again. complete content. So this pure love and contentment, I have no idea how long it lasted because it was beyond time. It was beyond space. There was this forgetting about, there was some Edith Chan who was a Chinese medicine student somewhere in some room studying some Qigong class. It was just pure bliss and pure love and pure contentment. And eventually, from a far, far away place, there was this voice. Like, what's that voice? Oh, it's my Qigong teacher. Wait, there's a girl named Edith sitting in a classroom somewhere in San Francisco taking some Qigong class. Maybe this it should go back to that it. Should it? There was this hesitation, but eventually it was brought back. I'm not very conscious of deciding to do it. There is a big piece of me even today that was just yeah, I don't know. Was that a good decision to come back? So this was the strange thing of taking trillions of pieces of love and light and trying to squeeze it all, densify it all into this pretense of a physical body. It felt so absurd and almost painful to do that. And so this immense field of love and light, the size of the cosmos, attempted to squeeze the self and densify back into the physical body. And when finally it landed, it was like avalanches of tears and tears and tears and tears. Tears that took me maybe years to really understand what was the clashing of all the sensations in that moment that I couldn't even, there's no way you could articulate or process. And the best I can do today is that in that moment, there was this recognition of indescribable appreciation and gratitude that I went home, what a gift that I got to go home and return to our natural state of pure love and pure joy and peace and contentment, to just have a taste of that again. And then this absurdity of being now in my physical body. What the heck am I doing here? And how do I integrate these paradoxical realities? Because if who we really are is pure love, pure wholeness, pure kindness, pure peace, contentment. Well, I look around here, it's like, why is there war? Why is there so much conflict? Why is there so much sickness? Why is there so much all the things that do not look so much like love and peace and contentment and wholeness in this world? So there was a clashing of intense appreciation, gratitude, and intense sadness, deep, deep sadness. And then anger also, that my whole life had been a set of lies up until that point. That now I know what the true reality is. And this whole reality seems like made up of a set of lies now. But I was a high-functioning human being, so I kept going to school. I had multiple part-time jobs to keep the bills paid. I had an internship. I just kept moving through life. But people would be like, Edith, how are you doing? And I would kind of be like, I'm fine, but I didn't know who to talk to about such an experience. Even the Qigong teacher, she saw the catatonic state that I was in when I came back. And then I couldn't find words to describe it. So she just appreciated that something gigantic had happened in my being. And she met me with love and compassion, but there wasn't any kind of counseling to help integrate that experience, So I started becoming a seeker. I started reading books about, the nature of reality, spirituality, consciousness, anything that I could get my hands on. And that was back in 2003, and there wasn't much. So I felt very lonely and sad a lot of the time. So when friends would ask me, how are you doing? If I was honest, most of the time I'd just say, I'm fine, I guess. But I wasn't fine. I was so confused. And if I could have a moment to really tell people the honest truth, it was, I feel so homesick. I went home and now I don't know what am I doing here? Because everything that the world tells me seems deeply unsatisfying compared to the true reality. And so the good news is, over the course of the subsequent 2 decades, I started doing more different meditation practices and cultivating myself in different ways and meeting gradually more and more teachers that were able to hold space for me to discover how to with more wisdom and intelligence, integrate this state of being while being in the physical body. Because in those first 2 or 3 years, I kept meditating to escape the physical reality again, because it felt so intense and so dense and so much. I was feeling everything so much. And so gradually over time, I started realizing, okay, it's actually the opposite. This meditative state, this experience of all this bliss, all this love, all this peace, all this harmony, all this contentment. My role, why do I still have a physical body? My role is to, in my own unique way, bring this in, integrate, stabilize this in my being, and express it in the most beautiful way I know how in my day-to-day life, and also in my professional life, and in my life as a mom, and in all my relationships, And so that got me excited and inspired to be here, to be alive, to be in my body, because now I'm like looking at all the myriad ways of beautiful opportunities that we have to more fully express this love into the nooks and crannies of our everyday life. And it goes full circle into that what used to be a theory. When I first learned in Chinese medicine, this idea that every human being is a bridge between heaven and earth, this idea that we're here to bring heaven onto earth, to bring this cosmic wisdom, this our pure divine essence into physical form in the practical day-to-day activities of life, that's all of our work. Every one of us. But every one of us gets presented with uniquely beautiful and different ways of expressing that. So it's infinitely fun and inspiring now if we take this perspective. And I feel blessed that I don't get that kind of homesick experience anymore, because every time life presents me with an opportunity, it's really a moment to get into a meditative state and ask myself, how can I breathe more of this experience into this situation of my life? And yeah, as long as I still have a body, I think that's what life is about now.
Dr. Edith, thank you so much for sharing. I'm sure you could tell when you were sharing your experience with ultimate knowledge and having all your questions answered, I was getting excited because you described that so perfectly, so much better than I've ever been able to. So I just want to thank you for putting words to what that experience is like.
Yeah. And all the words still, fall short, but I feel so grateful that people like you are here to accompany me, that there's actually a lot of us that are having these experiences. And with our children, I'm finding that the new normal for the new, what I call luminous humans, I call them luminous kids.
Yeah.
And my book is called Luminous Education, a new way of educating and nurturing this new generation. That these mystical experiences, they're actually totally healthy and normal. The way that the old world conducted human affairs is highly strange and abnormal, to disconnect ourselves from the spiritual dimension of life. Yeah, I'm really grateful that there's a mass scale awakening into that life is simply more beautiful if we can integrate all the dimensions, body, mind, emotion, soul, in a harmonious and coherent way. That's the work that really gets me excited to wake up every day, is that so many of us are wanting a more beautiful experience of life, where our spirituality is not some separate thing from our day-to-day experience of life. Many of us have done meditation retreats and personal growth and spiritual growth workshops. We've had these momentary glimpses into these breakthrough experiences, but where I think all of us wanting so much to integrate that and stabilize that and turn this into a more beautiful experience, a way of relating to each other, so that it's not just like the mundane everyday stuff, that the mundane is imbued with the spiritually divine and sacred energies too. It's just, I'm excited to be here when so many of us are waking up to this.
Me too. Well, Dr. Edith, would you like to share where the viewers can find you and any projects you have going on that you'd like them to know about?
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much. It's such a blessing to connect with people that can speak at this level of depth and soulfulness. So to everybody listening, I just appreciate you so much. And I know that you're the kind of person that is doing beautiful things in your community, bringing this soulfulness, this essence into how you mother or father your children, and how you lead your team at work, and all the beautiful things you do in your community. So if this resonates, you can find me at dredithubuntu.com. That's my main website. That's spelled Dr. Edith, Edith. Ubuntu is Ubuntu, dredithubuntu.com. I'm currently brewing a program for people that are visionary pioneers. I call it, we're basically time travelers. Many of us have visions of the more beautiful world that is arising. And there's a special skill set that I feel like many of us are needing to cultivate so that we can integrate, stabilize, embody, and radiate, and through resonance into our communities, and also practical day-to-day leadership skills to actually help our communities level up in these beautiful ways. So if that interests you, please send me an email at hello@dredithubuntu.com. I have a special project called Luminous Education Revolution, which you can find at luminousrevolution.com for those of you that are also inspired by a more beautiful, multi-dimensional way of nurturing the new generation of children, in a collaborative, respectful way, a new paradigm of parenting, a new paradigm of education, where the kids are teaching us and we're teaching them. And we engage all the levels, the physical and practical level, the mental, emotional, spiritual levels. I often say with this new generation of kids, I'm learning how they're so aware of so many levels that they're helping all of us bring into integration and coherence, because you know how kids always call out the BS. Well, this generation, I noticed they do it in such a loving way, and they're calling out consistently. I know my kids and my kids' friends, maybe your kids too, like they will see when someone is not congruent between what they say and what they do, and then what they say, what they do, but also the consciousness, the energy and intention underneath what they say and what they do. They're very aware to that. And then they're aware of how do all of these line up with their cosmic wisdom that they're still bringing forth. And they're bringing all these levels back into coherence and alignment. So that's what this whole Luminous Education Revolution conversation is like. With a human being like that is awake and aware to all these levels of reality, you cannot put them in the old education paradigm, So many systems have to upgrade and update to be a match for the level of consciousness of the new kind of human. So if this interests you, luminousrevolution.com. And again, my main website is dredithubuntu.com. The very first book I ever wrote was called Super Wellness. It featured a foreword with Wim Hof that many people might be familiar with. And it's a distillation of the first 15 years of my clinical medicine practice, the absolute best bang for the buck ways that people can attune and align their physiology to master their energies, be their own best healer, and really integrating their physiology so that they can hold this kind of spiritual experience that we're talking about, but in a grounded and embodied way. So yeah, there's a lot there. dredithubuntu.com is probably the best first place as a launching pad to check out all the various projects.
Thank you so much for sharing. I will have those links in the description. And I want to thank you for the work that you're doing with the Luminous Revolution. I think that's so important. And I personally haven't seen a lot of that out there. As I've been raising my own children, I've looked for resources, and maybe I'm looking in the wrong places, but I just haven't found a lot. So I really appreciate what you're doing, and I'm definitely going to check it out.
Yeah, it's my nature, both with Super Wellness and with the Luminous Education work, to be a pattern detector and like a big picture, weaving together the new paradigm vision. That is a gift that I came here to bring. And so with Luminous Education, there's a lot of people that are specifically offering really wonderful curriculums and specific approaches for different portions of it. Luminous Education, this vision is really a comprehensive vision of the entire new paradigm that is arising through conscious families like yours, that we're already intuiting our way into it. And sometimes it's helpful to put words to articulate what is this new paradigm? What does it look like? So that all these different pieces can fit into the right places. And then I'm planning to build a new website with ability for families and educators and people that are building solutions from this new consciousness to be able to find each other easily and collaborate and up level together. So many beautiful things to come.
Wonderful. Yeah. Yes. Thank you so much for doing that.
Thank you.
Yes. All right. Well, I will have Dr. Edith's links in the description, so check those out if you're interested. Thank you so much, Dr. Edith, for being willing to have this conversation and share your story. And again, thank you for the work that you're doing.
Thank you so much, Melissa. And to the audience, thank you so much for inviting me into your home and into your workout or your hike, wherever you are. It's such an honor to share this energy with you.
Thank you for watching and listening. Your views, likes, comments, and shares truly make the biggest difference in supporting this channel. Don't forget to check the show notes for all the links to today's guest, as well as my links. You'll find me on social media at Love Covered Life, my website, lovecoveredlife.com, and the Be a Guest link for anybody who would like to be a guest on the channel. I have great news. Love Covered Life podcast is coming available on audio podcast. You can find it wherever you listen to your audio podcasts.